There have been many variations on Superman's suit over the years, from the early comic incarnations through the super spandexy scoop neck Dean Cain era, right up to this, the most recent Superman costume that we'll see prominently in Batman v Superman: Dawn of Justice. There is of course a lot more to this Superman suit, or any Superman suit really, than what we see at first glance. Sure, there's not as much going on as, say, the new Batsuit, but that's because Superman isn't really a gadgets guy. Besides, you don't really need a pouch full of batarangs when you can turn someone into a block of ice and then throw them into the sun, or even just, I don't know, snap their neck. Let's start with the Superman shield. Now, many comic book characters are prone to planting a symbol on their chest, Superman being one of the early adopters that popularized this. It's gone through a variety of redesigns over the years, seemingly always falling back on a yellow diamond shape, bordered in red and with a prominent red S. Of course, there have been some notable variations on this, namely Mark Waid's Kingdom Come, which may actually be referenced in the new slicked back hairstyle. Superman Red and Superman Blue was also a significant departure, and the silver S on a black suit, as seen in the Death of Superman story arc, is also fondly remembered. By some? Pretty much all the live-action versions we've seen, though, with some exceptions, such as with Smallville, look something like this. Of course, the size, shape, and shading are always differentiated, the Superman Returns version even going so far as to embossing miniature S's into the shield, which is strange, but then again, so is stamping them on the back of his boots. Originally, the symbol just represented the letter S, with the Man of Steel comic redefining it as something Jonathan Kent designed based on a Native American symbol. As mentioned in Man of Steel, the symbol now represents the House of El, Superman's Kryptonian heritage, and the meaning behind it is now hope.
It's not an S. On my world, it means hope.
Man of Steel, though, wasn't the first time we'd seen this, however. The idea was introduced in the excellent Superman Birthright from 2003. But the concept that the symbol is more than just a simple S extends back to the Superman movie from 1978, where it shows that each Kryptonian house has its own emblem, and House L's just coincidentally looks like an S. According to director Zack Snyder, it's the second most recognized symbol on Earth. And aside from being synonymous with Superman and the other heroes who sport it, it doesn't really do anything. Sorry, that's a lie. It does this. I don't understand it, but I love it. Superman's cape has also varied over the years, not so much in color, but the material it's made from. In some incarnations, it's his baby blanket he was wrapped in when sent from the dying world of Krypton. In others, it's simply Earth fabrics. Generally, the rule is if it can be torn easily, it's from Earth. If it can't be, it's from Krypton. Those super beings in the past have been able to damage it. There's also an artistic logic as to why heroes wear capes, as having a cape sometimes makes it easier to convey a sense of movement in comic panels. Superman, of course, is no exception to this. In relation to this picture, though it's not made clear, I'd imagine that it doesn't sport the Superman logo, which is a design choice they'll probably carry over from Man of Steel. Though the cape is an iconic part of his costume, Superman isn't always known to wear it. Again, after his resurrection in the Death of Superman storyline, he does away with it, as he does in other tales, such as the one where he sports a beard, carries a ridiculous gun for some reason, and fights twin clones of Hitler. This comic also famously included the line, "It's time for Superman to finish World War II. This exists! This is a real thing!" Many people over the years have questioned where he keeps his cape if he's always wearing his Superman suit under his clothing, with one answer to that being that he super folds it into a small compressed square, which he can then keep in his pocket. This, I guess, is similar to how the Flash stores his costume in a ring. I believe it's also mentioned in some comics that his cape has a pocket where he can store things like Clark Kent's clothes and money and stuff, though you don't really see that much anymore. The body of the costume itself, though, is obviously a variation of what we've seen in Man of Steel. There appears to be some slight changes made to the shape of the belt buckle and the lines around the torso, wrists, and boots. Still no jocks, though, for better or worse. Everyone, I think, has an opinion about that. The coloring also appears to be a lighter blue, though it's hard to say what shade exactly in this grimly lit, presumably Gotham setting. The Man of Steel version is also like a Kryptonian undergarment, kind of like an alien chainmail. Ceremonial outfits and armor are often worn over the top. They had a little bit of protection, but with Superman's near invulnerability on Earth, this isn't really a requirement for him. This material is strong enough not to be damaged, even if Superman skids through some product placement, because like Superman himself, in Earth's atmosphere, his garments are much more resistant to stress. The outfit over the years has varied in origin. Some versions, such as seen in Man of Steel, indicating the Kryptonian scout ship that becomes his Fortress of Solitude, either made this suit or was storing a version of it. Others had Martha Kent using the Kryptonian material he was wrapped in as a baby and fashioning it into a costume. A feat proved difficult and aided by Clark's laser vision to cut and sear together the material. As I mentioned with the cape, some versions just have it as regular Earth material that is made near invincible when placed against Superman's skin. This is because his body has been known to emit an invisible field that protects anything he's wearing. This still means though that his cape is vulnerable as it sits away from him. He also adopted an electricity containment suit when he turned into electricity in the 90s. I don't know, it was brief and dumb. Sometimes a version that shields him from kryptonite, and the latest New 52 incarnation is kind of a Kryptonian biotech coded to his DNA. It's easier to conceal and kind of spreads outwards over his body. Kind of like the Black Spider-Man symbiote, except not really, because that's a whole other thing, and it turns you evil and makes you dance. So yeah, that's pretty much it. Finally, I guess it appears this version of Superman continues the darker tone set by Man of Steel. You know, comparatively to the other movies we've had. And comparing Superman now to what he looked like in 2013, Henry Cavill looks actually bigger somehow? That could just be an angle or Photoshop trickery, but we'll see. Time will tell. So thanks for watching, and if you like this, maybe you could check out my podcast, The Weekly Planet. This Monday's episode is on the Planet of the Apes franchise, and how some of the movies are terrible, and some of them are great. Last week's episode on Transformers Age of Extinction can be found on iTunes, linked below, or at the terrific comicbookmovie.com. What's your favorite version of the Superman suit though? Is it the one where he fights the Hitler twins? If it is, you're wrong, but that's okay, I accept your bold decision-making skills. You can leave your thoughts below or via my Twitter and Facebook pages, both Ending and Mr. Sunday Movies, if you have anything that you'd like to say about all of this. Thanks everyone, enjoy your week.